It comes as no surprise that most of the 2024 conversation centers on Donald Trump. He's been strongly hinting at another run for president. He certainly sounded like a contender when I spoke to him a few months ago. Again. MAGA Nation wants you to run again. I know you get it asked all the time. Let me ask it a different way. What will make you not run in 2024? In other words, what would be a reason not to run?
I guess a bad call from a doctor or something, right? You get that call and say, hey, sir, how you doing? Come on down here and see us because we got a bad report, right?
I pray for my president.
Through God, they happen. And, but I feel so good, and I hate what's happening to our country.
If Trump runs, that would likely clear a few people off the board. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley tells CBN News that will definitely be a game changer. What if he runs in 2024? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I've said that, if he runs in 2024, I'm not going to run. I appreciate the fact that he gave me the opportunity to serve the country I love so much. But at the same time, I think that's a big conversation that he needs to think about and that he needs to have in terms of whether he wants to do that.
The most intriguing 2024 question is whether former Vice President Mike Pence enters the ring. He's come under a torrent of criticism from Trump and his followers. Although visits to early primary states have most political observers thinking he'll run. In our recent interview with him, he played dodgeball. If Donald Trump ends up running in 2024, I've talked to Nikki Haley about this on camera. I've talked to Kristi Noem. Both will say they're not going to run if he runs. What is your view on that at this point? If you were thinking about running, would you not run as well?
David, you and I have known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that for right now, my focus is entirely on doing everything in my power to support the conservative cause and win back the Congress and state houses all across this country in 2022. Right. We'll let the future take care of itself after that, and I promise to keep you posted.
While waiting for news on that front, you can't keep up with the GOP players without a scorecard monitoring other candidates. For many, Florida Governor Ron Desantis tops the list, followed in no particular order by Senators Ted Cruz, Tim Scott, and Tom Cotton, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, and Mike Pompeo. The former Secretary of State has been making serious rounds in key states like Iowa and New Hampshire.
There'll be some decisions that everyone has to make, including myself and my wife, and we'll do that on the right timetable. The
ultimate wild card is, of course, Donald Trump. Recent polls show him with a commanding 43-point lead over his closest challenger, Ron DeSantis. 54% of Republicans choose Trump, 11% DeSantis, 8% Mike Pence. Still, much can happen in the coming months, especially once the former president decides what he wants to do. Gordon?
Well, David, I've got to ask, if he does run again, if Trump runs again, will anyone challenge him for the nomination?
Yeah, there will be some challenges. I would assume that Mike Pompeo, and he was in the list, but Mike Pompeo will probably be one. Ted Cruz may be as well. I think the real big question was, will Ron DeSantis down in Florida do that? We can talk about that more separately. But, overall, I think there will be some challenges. But listen, let me just kind of get to the bottom line of all of this. Whoever comes up against Trump, unless there's some sort of kind of air quote act of God politically, this is Trump's nomination to lose. Now, of course, he's not on Twitter, so maybe he will still win it. I mean, if he's on Twitter, it might be a different story, but it's his to lose for sure.
All right. Well, you look at the Republican side and you actually see a deep bench of possible candidates. You look at the Democrat side and you kind of go, okay, who could run again and win? And so as a result, now rumors are out there that Hillary Clinton could come back and try to run in 2024. So what chances do you think we have a rematch of 2016?
Well, I got to tell you, Gordon, when I first saw those reports, and I figured they were trial balloons, this is done all the time in politics, and I kind of laughed it off. I needed some smelling salts to revive me from the floor. And then when I got up and I actually had my senses, I said to myself, wait a minute, let's think this through for a second. And once again, we're not getting into some crazy thought here, but let's think about this. there is a potential big-time shellacking coming for Democrats in the midterms. That's going to put Joe Biden in a very tough spot politically. It'll put Kamala Harris in a tough spot politically as it relates to 2024. It gives oxygen potentially to Hillary Clinton. Now, why exactly? Well, because Joe Biden has decided he wants to be the next FDR. He's decided he wants to go full on with the progressives. Hillary Clinton has not gone there with Joe Biden on some of this stuff. She's positioning herself in that center-left area. Not where the energy of the movement is, but being potentially the first female president and seen after Joe Biden has a lot of political problems because he sided with the progressives, it may give her a potential opportunity. So I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility, but I think a lot of things have to fall in place for that to happen. Also, keep an eye on Elizabeth Warren as well. She has that economic populism message that kind of bleeds over a little bit into Trump territory without being Trump, clearly.
All right, well, let's talk about Rick Desantis. You said you wanted to, so let's talk about him. On the right, he's kind of a hero. On the left, he's definitely a lightning rod. But the latest is he seems to be feuding with Trump. So what's the game plan here for DeSantis? Is he trying to put distance between himself and Trump?
Well, I think, first of all, Ron DeSantis, I think, clearly wants to run for president. The question then becomes, should he do it or should he not? So the distance that he's putting in between himself and Trump is a smart thing for now, because, you just don't want to. You want to make sure you're your own man, if you will, if you're going to run for president. Here's the problem for DeSantis, and there's a lot of them. Talk to Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and ask how it went for them. When Donald Trump basically pillared both of them and defined both of them. He's going to do the same thing to DeSantis, and DeSantis is young. Why put yourself through that with Donald Trump when Donald Trump is older? DeSantis is in his, early 40s or so. He's got time. It seems to me like it would make sense for DeSantis not to run for that reason alone, but then on top of that, he's a successful governor in Florida, and there are going to be a lot of conservatives who will say, wait a minute, would love you as president, but I need you in Florida where freedom reigns. And so I think he's going to have two problems here. And once again, he'd be the only guy that could potentially beat Trump, but I don't think it's going to happen. I believe that if Donald Trump runs, Ron DeSantis will not run in 2024.
Let's talk about something we haven't talked about. And what do you think of Governor Youngkin here in Virginia? He ran a masterful campaign for governor. I know he's, sort of new to the national stage, but is he a dark horse candidate in the future?
Potentially, for sure. He definitely has shown a template of how to get it done in kind of like that purple state of Virginia, blue to a degree, I guess. And so, yeah, I mean, he's a dark horse candidate. Having said that, I'm not quite sure. Obviously, I don't think it's a 2024 situation, but down the road, potentially, sure. But he has done quite a bit, as you know, Gordon, in Virginia with all of those, a lot of the executive orders and a lot of the investigations into Loudoun County. And he's got an attorney general that's just tearing up the place, which is exactly what he promised. So, Youngkin is getting obviously a lot of positive reviews.
All right. Well, thanks for the analysis. And David, thanks for